We'll try to be back at the end.
You know,
Thank you, Chairman, for your time.
thank you. Mr. McLaughlin.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Would the chairman yield?
Yes, I will.
Thanks,
Chairman
Denny.
yields.
Yes, and even let him speak.
Thanks, Denny. Regarding the minimum wage, were there any hearings on what the impact of the minimum wage would be, rather than just running headlong into a $15 minimum wage?
There were wage board hearings held,
Right.
and people, if I remember correctly, on one of those days in February when we were down in the basement, I think we had some discussion there.
Well, we had some discussion, yes, but the wage boards were handpicked by the governor, right?
I can't answer that.
Okay.
I don't know the answer to that.
Okay. So there was no empirical modeling, there was no definitive study done on what the impact of the minimum wage would be both downstate and upstate. And I guess
I think that there's information, as you all have been pulling out, that when they were working on the debating, they had things they could look at. So this was not in the dark room with the lights out.
Well,
they had information, and that's how they did this. Because remember, we went through this a couple of years ago when we moved it up to 9.
which was, I believe, what, a 36% increase when we brought it to 9, right? That was a 36% increase over a relatively short time.
And the economy is still going forward.
Not so much in upstate New York, but I mean, we do lead the nation in out-migration. There might be something to be said about what...
We always have.
No, not always.
Yeah. Airplanes didn't fly to, boats didn't fly to Chicago. They had to come to New York.
Danny, was there any, who decided, other than activists, who decided that 15 was the magic number? Who came to that conclusion?
The wage board.
The wage board that was seated, I believe, by the governor.
Yes, probably.
Yeah, okay. So, was there any discussion that you know of on what the difference would have been in helping the people that we all seek to help the most by expanding aggressively the earned income tax credit as opposed to just...
Well, we still have the earned income tax credit. And in the one House bill, we tried to increase it, but it didn't happen this year. But we over on this side, we're trying to do that also. And as I said to you last night, we also did that 20% cut in property taxes for them 2 years ago, which is it shows that there's an intent on our part to help upstate. We've worked very hard, and the governor's worked very hard to help upstate. So I can't say that, we're doing anything here to do damage. We think it will help.
Well, there's a lot of folks out there that say this will do damage to the tune of a couple of 100,000 jobs. Denny, is there any change to fast food workers? Because when the governor started this charade or policy, whatever you want to call it, of ramping up the minimum wage, he started with fast food workers, which I think anybody that was paying attention knew was just the camel's nose under the tent.
Yeah.
And away we go with the rest of the state. But fast food workers right now are on track to hit $15 by 2021. Is that correct?
Yes.
Is there anything in this budget that slows that down, stops that from happening?
The wage board. Say it again. There'll be a new wage board, and they will look at it.
So right now, let me just refer you to page 47 of this budget bill, subchapter 5. Toward the bottom of that page, it says, notwithstanding subdivision 2 of section 652 and subdivision 2 of labor law, etc., the Commissioner of Labor may, not will, may smooth wages and modify an existing wage order, that would be the $15 for fast food workers, to conform with subdivision 1 of section 652 of the labor law as amended by section 1 of this act, and provided further that in no event may a worker's wages be reduced by such conformity. And the reason I'm bringing this up is that right now we are on track for the fast food workers to outpace what we're doing here, and once they hit a certain level, they can never be brought back. Is that your understanding as well?
Yes, I think so.
So right now, you are probably going to have a fast food worker outpacing somebody that works at the New York State ARCs?
Well, I think the wage people will look at it and make a decision. If it's going to be a problem like that, I think we might do something about it.
But no indication that that's going to happen?
No
plan
indication what you said will happen will happen.
Okay, well, what I said will happen will definitely happen because they're on track for a faster pace to get to 15 than the rest of the state. And actually, upstate New York caps out at $12.50 for now until it's so-called looked at in a few years. But they will be at 15 quicker than the rest of the state will, and in no way can their wages be diminished. So it's something that the wage board should take a look at. Denny, I just mentioned a second ago our New York State ARCs, which do God's work, incredible work, taking care of the most needy folks in our society. And we went through something a couple years ago where we just hammered them, and we were able, through a lot of fighting in here, in a bipartisan way, to get back the funding that they were cut. I'm sure you remember that battle of a few years ago. And our good friend Harvey Wiesenberg, who we miss, was leading the charge on that. Do you have any idea, Denny, how many chapters there are of ARCs in New York State?
Do we know how many ARCs?
So
I don't think so.
I don't want to put you on the spot, Denny. I'll just give you the information because I wouldn't expect you to have that off the top of your head. But there are 48 chapters across New York State, and the New York State ARCs support more than 60,000 individuals, and they employ 30,000 people and have a membership of more than 100,000. And do you recall their executive director, Stephen Kroll, testifying in front of one of our assembly hearings?
Yeah. No, I don't remember.
I just want to give you a little quote on what he said because it's important. I believe you had said earlier there's about $4 million in there for not-for-profits. Is that the total amount?
Yes.
Okay. So Stephen Kroll, the executive director, said, quote, "The governor's proposal contains a serious flaw that threatens the financial viability of an entire field of caregivers and the people and family those caregivers support. Without a Medicaid rate increase in the state budget, not-for-profit providers will need to absorb $270 million in increased labor in year one, just year one, and $1.7 billion in added labor costs by 2021, which is when this goes into full effect. $1.7 billion. Such an unfunded expense will be devastating for the field, consequently leading to employee layoffs and diminishing the quality care of tens of thousands of New Yorkers with Down syndrome, cerebral palsy, autism, and neurological impairments." My question for you, Denny, do you doubt the numbers of the executive director of the New York State ARC?
I can't answer that.
Okay. I don't doubt their numbers because that's their job, to know what their payroll is and to know what the projected impact of a minimum wage increase is going to be. So I have no reason to doubt their numbers because it's pretty simple to say I have X amount of employees
I got about
making
10
this.
reasons why.
I'm sorry?
I'm joking. No, forget it.
So I guess my point there, Denny, is how can we look ourselves in the mirror and say, here's $4 million, but you're now going to suffer an increase of $270 million. I would say that makes last night's Farm Retention Act look great by comparison to what we're about to do to our absolute most needy people. And how can we justify that in this budget?
Oh, again, the compression issue comes up with those numbers. That causes that number to go up very high quickly.
But it's still a
And
number.
also a different start date and a different payment schedule. So the numbers, that's why I couldn't answer the question, because the numbers and everything are different and we'd have to see it against what we're doing.
Well, we
So-
know, but Denny, we know what we're doing. We're doing 4 million. They're looking at 270. So give or take.
No, but what they say the outcome is, we say the way they're doing it, it tends to blow it up. The numbers get heavier that
Well,
way.
I mean, even if you say it blows it up by 20%, that's about 54 million. There's still a couple hundred million away. 4 million is absurd. It's obscene. You're going to see ARCs begin to close down and once again hammer our most needy citizens.
Well,
Don't you agree?
I agree, Ned. I don't want to hammer our senior citizens because I'm one of them now.
Not seniors, our most needy disabled citizens
Yes,
out there.
but we
Or may or may not be senior, by the
we
way.
worked and tried to get as much as we could. This again is what we came up with, and again we continue to function after this budget is passed, and we'll look at it and see what we can do.
Okay, Denny.
And we will look to see what you predicted happened or does it not happening.
But see, they don't have the time to wait for this for predictions, which we should have done. That's why I was talking about modeling. That's why I was talking about empirical evidence, which is the way a business would operate. They would model it out and see what was going to happen. This is not rocket scientists, and if the state of New York can't do it, we're all in much deeper trouble than I thought. But they don't have the luxury of let's just wait and see what happens. They know the freight train is coming down the track, and they're going to get run over by it because they can't get out of the way. So it is an obscene thing to do to our ARCs. That's just one point that's a problem with this. Denny, another issue. You know, we talk about, we all in here want to help those that need the help the most, but you can't do it by just magically waving a wand, because there are those who would say, how dare you do 15? It should be 20 or 25, because the fact is, nobody's living large at $15 an hour either, correct?
Yeah, right.
They're not living large there. So what they're going to do as prices necessarily go up, because merchants are going to have to raise their prices to somehow try to survive, they're going to continue to look for the most bang for their buck at $15 an hour, right? I mean, they're going to do that. You would agree, I think?
Yes.
Okay. So that means that the folks that are out there that are still going to be scraping to get by, because 15 will soon become the new broke, they're going to be shopping at Walmart and Target and all the big box stores. That's what they're going to do. They're going to shop for that most bang for the buck. So my question for you is, how is this policy not going to absolutely continue to hammer our small businesses out there on Main Street America? If you look around, we all know the butchers aren't there anymore. There's less florists. Most of this stuff is being encompassed into these big box stores. And I would ask you, don't you think that this policy is going to further drive a nail into the heart of small business owners across the
No.
state?
I think the small businesses, we did everything here to help them. We did the tax cut, and that would, excuse me, the tax cut, which will give them some help, because the small businesses, as we described them, tend to be personal income tax people.
Yeah.
So they will get money back there. They'll get help. So I'm not ready to believe that the end of the earth has come yet.
So, Denny, the tax cut, though, and you're talking about the way small business owners typically file, that depends on you making a profit, whether you're going to have that tax cut or not, right?
Yes, no, you're going to pay taxes, and you'll get a percentage off.
But if you didn't make any profit, you're not going to owe a heck of a lot of tax to begin with. You're going to owe your sales tax.
No,
and everything else.
it goes into your income tax.
But again, if you're writing everything off and you're losing money, you have no profit to show. You're really not paying taxes. So
But you're paying less taxes.
so
So
the
you
tax cut there.
do have more money to begin with.
But the tax cut, therefore, is pretty darn ineffective. Denny, do you think that this policy is going to spur the rapid implementation of point-of-order systems, kiosks, self-ordering, things like that, which I would contend will further hammer those with the folks that need it most? Do you think this accelerates that?
I didn't hear the question. What? Excuse me, my arm just crickled. Oh, you didn't get it. Oh, no, we are getting everything. I mean, in your pocket you have what 50 years ago would have filled this room up
Sure.
and couldn't give you the information that thing will give you right now.
That's true.
And everything we said, had we called that lady on the phone, she would have told us which of us are lying. You know, those are things that go, and people are going to do. McDonald's is built on the fact of how fast they could cook and get everything done. The machinery is what made them become the business they are. And each of the units that do that are that way. In other words, so there's always going to be increase in the amount of electronics, the amount of robotics that are going to be used in the future. Nothing to do with our prices. It has to do with the future.
Danny, I agree.
And my granddaughter.
I agree, and thank you. I will just say, and I may be back, but I will just say, I agree with you, but this will tighten that spiral. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Garbarino.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Will the chairman yield?
Yes, I will, Mr.
Chairman
Speaker.
yields.
Chairman, I have a couple questions. I know you were briefly asked about it before, but the new Health Republic Insurance Fund,
I'll say that again.
the new Health Republic Insurance Fund that's being set up under the budget,
Yes.
I was reading it before. Maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong. It looks like what we're doing here is we're going to set up a fund which over the next 3 years we're going to collect the assets from the defunct Health Republic. Is that correct?
Just a moment. What money? Person, tell me what he's talking about. Oh, that was that one.
Yeah.
Right, so let me see. You want to ask your question again so I give you the right answer?
All right. From the way I read it, it looks like over the next 3 years, we're going to try to collect the assets of the defunct Health Republic, to try to pay off the claims. Is that correct?
Yes, we are.
Okay, so that's how we're going to fund the fund, right?
Yeah, we're going to collect for 3 years.
Is there any idea, any estimate on how much we're going to be able to collect? What assets are out there?
No, we don't know yet. Because we're going to get rid of the old place, and whatever we get for that will be the part of the money.
Does it also include possible lawsuits against people who work for Health Republic or people who ran it?
It could, and that's why it's going to take us 3 years to see.
Okay. Do you know how much money how much money Health Republic owes right now to hospitals, doctors?
We don't know.
There's no.
Not ready now.
Okay, so we don't know how much we're going to collect. We don't know how much we owe.
Yeah, we only know we have 3 years to do it and know it all.
Okay. Is there anything in this bill that says once whatever money we collect is collected and how much we know we have to pay out, how we're going to pay it out?
No.
Is it?
Well, before we finish, before we finish the session in June,
So it's
maybe sometime soon we'll write some more law.
So whether or not it's going to be pro rata, first come, first served, that's all going to be done statutorily, not through the.
As we go ahead, as the time goes and it evolves, we'll then decide what to do.
But we're going to do it in this house. It won't be done by regulation.
Yes.
Okay. Now, is there any plan for what happens if we don't collect enough money through this process?
We're going to be positive in that we can get enough money.
So you believe that
We believe that we have a program which will allow us to be able to pay for it.
but if we don't, I mean, right now everybody said that we don't know what's out there.
No, but it will develop. We're going to know it's an ongoing program.
Okay. But my question is, what happens
Well,
if we
not
don't?
the
What happens if we don't? My one question. This question is, what happens if we don't collect enough money to cover all the claims? Is the state
Well,
going to come in?
again, as I said, we believe we have to make it go. We can't walk away from it. So we will do it, and it will work it. One way or another, we'll get it done.
All right. So all we're doing today is setting up the existence of the fund.
Yes.
By the end of session, we're going to set up the rules for the fund.
No, sometime in the future. I misspoke when I said this year.
Okay. So, all right. So we might do it this year, we might not, but it will be done before we have to pay anything out.
Yes.
Okay. I want to switch over to the New York State Licensed Social Worker Loan Forgiveness Program. Who in the state does that apply to?
Hold on. Yeah.
Oh, they got to bring some more people back. I know.
$250,000 extra.
What is it?
But yes, but social work is the social work license. I think social work tuition assistance program. It's a
You want to ask the question again, please?
The New York State Licensed Social Worker Loan Forgiveness Program, who does that apply to in the state?
To the social workers.
I mean, but does it go by county? Can anybody apply to it?
They work in high-need areas.
Who designates the high need areas?
higher education.
Higher Education Corporation will
Hi-
do it. ACT, they call it.
The higher education?
Yes.
Do you know what areas currently are considered high need? You know if Suffolk or Nassau?
No, we don't.
We don't know? All right. Okay, and last subject, you might have to change staff again because I'm going to jump to something else. The property insurance premium reduction for homeowners. I have a
think you're
just a couple
shifting
questions
over.
about that.
I think you're sliding over. Sorry, ask that again.
The property and casualty insurance premium reduction for homeowners who complete a residency resilience course. Is there a certain amount of money? How is it going to be decided how much the reduction is going to be?
Will be determined by the DFX.
DFS, what do you know? Does it say whether or not it'll be a percentage or if it's going to be a certain amount?
Yeah, the DFS will determine what to do once it gets into their hands.
Is it, and now, okay, so is it, does DFS administer the courses? Who administers
No.
who administers the courses then?
Say that again.
The residency resilience course that allows you to get this deduction. Who administers those courses?
Oh. Well, try that again.
Like, is it done by the insurance companies, or are they administered by the state? Like, do the courses have to get approval?
Right. That's good.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I couldn't find it out.
Right. Yeah. Oh, this is going to allow people to go in, as you can go in and take a driving test, and when you get that driving test, you can lower your insurance, or you can do the same thing here.
Okay, so they won't have to go to the state. They could get a certificate from. They go to like a local group that that puts the test together. Okay. Is the deduction permanent, or does it have to be renewed?
For 3 years.
It's good for 3 years. Now I couldn't tell from the language, but it looks like there's a possibility for 2 reductions. One for if you take the course, and another if you make improvements to the house. Is it possible you could get two deductions here, or is it one or the other?
Yeah, but he's saying if he's giving you two. If you take the driving and you do your house. You can only get one.
So so it's either take the test or make the improvements to the house.
Yeah, no, yeah. You can do one or the other if you want to get the money. But you can wait 3 years and then do the other.
Okay. And I probably missed it. It's probably in there, but I most likely missed it. Just last question. Does this apply to a second household, like somebody owns a vacation house on Fire Island? Can they get the property reduction for that piece of property also, or is it just the main residence?
The second home. Yeah, if it's in New York State, yes.
They could use it for a vacation household or a second home.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much, Chairman.
Thank you.
Mr. Zabrowski.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On the bill.
Oh, on the bill, sir.
On the bill. Thank you. Mr. Speaker, I represent 5 different school districts in Rockland County. And they are quite different in a lot of different ways. And I think they're quite different, like all our various assembly districts are different and all the school districts that were different. And I want to ask my colleagues and remind my colleagues that I think our job is to really lift up every school district. A little too much during the debate this year. Even from education advocates, there was a us against them sort of attitude. And I think that every school district, every area, has its own unique challenges. And, in some areas, we have significant poverty and high needs, and we need to figure out ways. I congratulate my colleagues on the Community Schools Initiative. Happy to support that. Happy to see how it could help areas in my district as well. In other areas, where there's a little bit more wealth, we certainly have wealth and pockets of poverty. And even in some of those school districts, we have extremely high property taxes, and we also have a funding formula and a combined wealth ratio that unfairly penalizes the property values of certain downstate suburban districts. Specifically, part of the debate this year was GEA. And I got to say, you've got to take a step back to what the GEA was. The GEA was an unfortunate cut to our school districts that I opposed and many of my colleagues opposed that was here. In fact, it was the result of a very late budget one year as we held out for months and months and months. And it was probably during that budget where the tactic of the governor's extender bill threats really started. And it was us holding out for education that it started way back then and attempting to prevent those cuts. But what it was instead of taking a cut sort of directly off the formula, we ran the school aid formula, and then we ran a separate formula for the cut. And as we attempted to fill that cut over the years, we didn't necessarily do so in an equitable way because we tried to fill it first for the high needs districts. So let's just talk about those districts that really still have GEA. To begin with, the formula gives them less money. I saw recently a magazine article from one of the education advocates, and they erroneously said that the high property value districts get more state aid based upon their high property taxes. And that's actually just completely false. It's completely and utterly false. Those districts pay more in property taxes and invest more. In a lot of ways, they can invest more, but they shouldn't be punished for it. And with the GEA, they started with a formula that gave them less money. A GEA was instituted on them in a way that took more from them. So that was the second way that they lost. And the third way was, as we restored the GEA, it was restored much slower for those districts. So the formula didn't benefit them, the GEA cuts didn't benefit them, and the GEA restorations didn't benefit them. So we got to a point this year where there was a handful of districts that still had significant GEA restorations, and it looked like, well, if we restore that, are we just giving money to some of these quote-unquote higher wealth districts? Because I don't even like to use that. It's unique districts, And some of these districts pay extremely high property taxes. And at some point, we had to realize, look, it's just inequitable and it's just unfair to keep our word to every other district in the state but these districts. And I want to thank the chairwoman. I want to thank the speaker, all my colleagues on the other house, my colleague in the executive chamber, who did come together and finally restore this. And we did so not at the expense of other school districts, but together, to lift all of our school districts up and really recognize that there's unique needs in all our different school districts,